The story begins in the year 2007, where a 23-year-old man named Cherry is seen getting ready to rob a bank. As the film takes us into his backstory, we discover that Cherry has been battling depression for quite some time, feeling lost and hopeless about where his life is headed. Before he proceeds with the robbery, he walks up to a nearby car, leans toward the driver, and calmly tells him to meet in the parking lot within the next 2 minutes. It turns out that Cherry is highly skilled at robbing banks and knows how to execute a heist without breaking a sweat. With his face covered and a gun in hand, he bursts into a bank and fires a warning shot to strike fear into everyone inside. He then walks up to the teller, points his gun at her, and demands that she hand over every bit of cash from the drawer. However, as Cherry stares at the female teller, a sudden feeling of sadness overwhelms him, triggering a flashback that takes us back to his life in 2002. During that time, Cherry was a college student who instantly fell in love with his classmate named Emily, and it doesn't take long for her to notice him as well. After class, the two have a short conversation where Cherry learns that Emily lives in the same city as his ex-girlfriend. He then shows her a photo of his former lover, Madison, which makes things a bit awkward. Emily forces a small smile before quietly walking away. Cherry then reflects on his relationship with Madison, recalling how she used to belittle him and never gave him the respect he deserved. He would often drop by her dorm, and one night, Madison took him to a university party where she danced with several male classmates. Even though Madison had only been at the university for about a month, it seems like every guy there already knows who she is. Cherry shares a story about his first job at a restaurant, though he doesn't last more than 2 weeks due to the owner's rude behavior and his lack of experience. Not long after, Cherry meets up with his best friend, James Lightfoot. James lost his parents at a young age, and his brother lost his sanity after coming home from the war, leaving James to face life mostly on his own. They decide to head to the bank to fix a problem with Cherry's account, bringing along their 2 friends, Roy and his cousin, Joe. Joe is preparing to enlist in the Marines, but James strongly disagrees with his decision, trying to talk him out of it because of the trauma he carries from what happened to his brother after the war.
I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, man. Why?
Not long after, James's car suddenly breaks down, and to make matters worse, Cherry's bank issue still isn't resolved. With the vehicle completely busted and no other way to get home, the 4 of them have no choice but to walk back, talking and joking along the way to make the long walk a little easier. The following day, Cherry meets up with a group of youngsters who are looking to buy Xanax, the same medication he takes to calm his panic attacks. They invite him to a party, and after taking a few more pills to get high, they all head there to have a good time. To Cherry's surprise, Emily shows up at the same party, and the two share a brief conversation where Cherry finally confesses his feelings for her. He then asks her to take a walk with him, and as the night goes on, the two get closer, spending the rest of the evening wrapped up in each other's company. As time passes, Cherry and Emily's bond grows even deeper, and Cherry starts to see her as the only thing that brings light to his loneliness and despair. However, Emily comes from a broken family and has endured abuse from her own parents, causing her to believe that real love doesn't exist.
I love you.
Thank you.
Because of this mindset, she eventually decides to break up with Cherry, telling him that she needs to continue her studies in Canada. Even with Cherry begging her not to go, Emily's mind is already made up, and there's nothing he can do to make her stay. After what happens, Cherry is left deeply heartbroken and eventually decides to enlist in the US Army as a medic, hoping it will help him find purpose in his life. Even though the officers don't take him seriously and treat him like a joke, Cherry proves his determination by taking an oath to serve for 2 years. He hopes that by doing this, he'll finally discover his true purpose and move past the loneliness that's been weighing him down. His friends still have no idea about the decision he's made, but Cherry can see James persistently trying to stop Joe from joining the Marines, warning him that he might end up like his brother. Out of the blue, Cherry gets a call from Emily, asking to see him one last time before she leaves. He agrees and tells her to meet him at his new workplace, a restaurant where he recently starts working as a bartender. Cherry invites his friends over to enjoy some free drinks during a party at the restaurant while he waits for Emily to arrive. When she finally shows up, she's not only late, but also brings another guy with her, which clearly irritates Cherry.
I gave Benji a real man handshake like I was a real man, so he was forced to keep his hand off her.
You know, I know a better restaurant we could go to.
Sorry, are you alright?
Benji, just give me a minute, dude.
Do you want me to punch this guy in the...
No, Joe.
Their meeting ends without a proper goodbye, and out of frustration, Cherry angrily tells her to leave. A little while later, his boss asks him to wrap up his work and keep an eye on one of the guests named Tommy. Cherry then strikes up a conversation with the drunk Tommy, where he mentions that he recently enlisted in the US Army.
Those people don't give a shit about you. What are you thinking?
Tommy gives Cherry a ride home, where Cherry finds Emily in his room crying and apologizing for what she did earlier. Cherry forgives her, and soon after, the two are seen happily eating together while chatting and laughing. However, Cherry is taken aback when Emily reveals that she's no longer going to Canada to study, explaining that she only decided to leave because she realizes she truly loves him. Cherry then explains that he already enlisted in the US Army after feeling completely broken when she left him. Given their situation, Cherry suggests that they take some time apart to focus on their own paths, with Emily finishing her studies and him completing his 2 years of service. In the end, Emily agrees to his plan, but before Cherry's deployment in 2003, the two decide to get married. During his basic training, Cherry becomes friends with a fellow recruit named Jimenez, as both of them share the same dream of becoming medics. Jimenez explains that he enlisted after getting his girlfriend pregnant, realizing he needs to find a stable way to support his soon-to-be family.
I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna take care of both of you.
Help.
We'll figure it out, okay?
As the days go by, Cherry and the other new recruits are pushed to their limits, enduring grueling physical exercises and mentally demanding drills designed to break them down and rebuild their discipline.
What are you doing? You think you're still pretty? No, Joe Sergeant!
Next, we got about 100 shots, and I found out that I was actually
colorblind.
Can I still be a medic?
You know what color blood is, right?
Why make myself clear? Execute. Let's go.
I had to strip down to our underwear and duck walk the circuit of a big room.
You ain't.
Drill sergeants pretended to be real angry all the time.
Next time, back the off, or I might wig out and snap your neck.
Like this one time,
Attention!
drill sergeant, that's Levine. Some of the drill sergeants had actually seen Iraq, but they were full of too.
In Iraq. Let's go. He's been at 3 o'clock. He's been at... Back! On the right! Back! Haji in the trees! Look up! Haji on your left!
At one point, Cherry even witnesses one of his fellow soldiers attempt to take his own life, completely consumed by the unbearable stress of training.
He didn't die, but he didn't graduate either.
Eventually, Cherry and Jimenez move on to their medic training, which they manage to pass successfully. Soon after, they're deployed to Iraq, where they face their first taste of real combat. They work alongside their fellow soldiers in the heat of battle, with the medics bravely rushing to rescue the wounded right in the middle of gunfire. Most of the injured soldiers suffer serious wounds caused by the relentless explosions from enemy attacks. After receiving first aid from the medics, the wounded are quickly airlifted by helicopter back to the military base for further medical care. When they make it back to camp, Cherry and his fellow soldiers are visibly shaken by everything they've witnessed and endured. Things become even more terrifying when they realize that the area where their base is stationed is considered one of the most dangerous zones in the entire war. Still, despite the constant danger, they continue to carry out their patrols, passing through several evacuation sites to ensure the safety of nearby civilians. After several more weeks, Cherry begins to really miss his wife, Emily. During one of their phone calls, Emily tells him that his parents help her get a small house for the two of them. One day, the soldiers take some time to tend to the injuries of local Iraqis, and as the months pass, Cherry and Jimenez's friendship continues to grow stronger. One day, while out on patrol, Cherry tries to warn his sergeant that the route they are taking doesn't feel safe, but his concerns are brushed off. Sure enough, his Peter Tingle instincts are spot on when one of their vehicles gets stuck in a muddy pit a little later. The sergeant then orders Jimenez and 3 other soldiers to go back and fetch some tow cables to pull the vehicle out. But without warning, a powerful explosion suddenly goes off, directly hitting the vehicle that Jimenez and the others are in, instantly setting it ablaze. Cherry sprints toward the blast, but his heart shatters when he reaches the site and sees the burned remains of his comrades. In a devastating scene, he's forced to carry their lifeless, charred bodies from the wreckage, still trembling in shock and grief. After that tragic event, Cherry begins to lose all interest in what he's doing, weighed down by unbearable sadness and isolation. During one of his calls with Emily, she tries to give him strength and keep him hopeful, but Cherry struggles to speak, unable to put his trauma into words. After completing several more missions, Cherry finally finishes his 2 years of service and returns home to the United States. He's honored with the Medal of Valor, a recognition of his incredible bravery, selfless sacrifice, and unwavering service to his country. Emily attends his convocation, but despite the honor and recognition, Cherry can't help but feel like he still hasn't achieved anything truly meaningful in life. However, when he finally reunites with Emily and spends time with her again, he feels an overwhelming sense of relief and a bit of peace return to his heart. Together, they go back to their new home, ready to start over and begin a fresh chapter in their lives. Cherry goes back to school at the same place where Emily works, and with the help of Joe, who also recently finishes his service, he lands a job in construction. However, after returning home, Joe begins facing several personal struggles. One day, during an argument with his girlfriend inside a moving car, Joe loses his cool and jumps out while it is still in motion, leaving him badly injured but still alive. But Joe isn't the only one dealing with problems. Cherry also starts to suffer from PTSD and intense anxiety, often struggling to sleep as he keeps having nightmares about the horrors he experienced in the war. He becomes easily irritated, even over the smallest things, showing how deeply the war has affected his emotions and state of mind. To help ease his panic attacks and anxiety, he begins taking Xanax, hoping it will bring him at least a bit of relief from the pain he carries. One day, while attending a theater show, Cherry suddenly causes a scene and argues with a man for no clear reason.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. What's your problem, dude? Dude, what's your problem? My problem?
He later leaves the place with Emily after furiously breaking a mirror in the restroom. Due to Cherry's troubling actions and unpredictable behavior, Emily grows more frustrated and emotionally drained, eventually resorting to taking Xanax herself. Meanwhile, Cherry's friend James falls deeper into his addiction and is arrested after being caught stealing. Cherry bails him out, and soon they begin spending time together again.
Shooter, you alright?
No, not alright. Help me.
A few weeks later, James asks Cherry to accompany him to the bank to apply for a loan, saying Cherry should be the one to talk to the employee since he is better at it. But because Cherry is high at that moment and acts rudely during the conversation,
You're an asshole and I'd like to speak to your manager.
Well, I am the manager.
they end up failing to secure the loan. Concerned about Emily's struggles and his own neglect of responsibilities, Cherry decides to seek medical help and undergo clinical treatment. The doctor prescribes him OxyContin, but eventually he ends up misusing it. Due to Cherry's constant neglect, Emily eventually loses patience and begins taking his medication too, hoping to ease what she is feeling. Even though they often look back on their happy memories, this is the moment their lives as a couple start to fall apart. Days go by with neither of them able to go without using OxyContin and other substances, and over time, their dependence grows, eventually causing their finances to collapse completely. Desperate for cash, Cherry turns to an acquaintance named Pills, a dealer, hoping to borrow some money. Rather than lending him any, Pills hands Cherry some substances and asks him to keep an eye on a safe in exchange. He warns Cherry firmly not to open it, saying it belongs to their boss, a man named Black. When they get home, Emily spots the safe and immediately suspects it contains substances, so Cherry calls James over to help them try to open it. Since the code alone won't unlock it, they try various methods to break it open. When they finally manage to crack the safe, they are shocked to find that Emily's suspicion is correct. It is packed full of substances. The three of them indulge in the stash, but panic hits when someone suddenly knocks on the door, claiming to be the police. In a hurry, they throw all the substances into the bathroom, fearing they will be caught and jailed. To their surprise, it isn't the police, it is Pills himself. Pills is furious when he discovers what they have done and warns that Black will kill them all if they can't come up with $40,000. Thinking quickly, Cherry comes up with a plan and says he will rob a bank to pay off their debt to Black. He goes to the bank immediately, using a dollar bill as a prop to tell the teller he is armed, forcing her to hand over a large sum of money. Cherry's first robbery is a success, allowing him to pay off all their debt to Black while secretly setting aside some money for himself and Emily. The money is enough for them to celebrate their success and buy even more substances. However, Cherry gets a call from Joe, who warns him that the police are keeping an eye on him, so he has to lie low for a while to avoid attracting attention. Despite this, Cherry cautiously continues buying substances for him and Emily to use. When their money eventually runs out, Cherry has no choice but to use the same method again to rob other banks. Due to the large sums of money they are making, they are able to sustain their addiction, though Cherry still owes a significant debt to Pills and Black. To address this, he involves Pills as his driver in one of his bank robberies.
I'm not doing the junkie bank robbery.
Wait, but you just said that you owe Black money, right?
Yeah, because you owe me money. We gotta discuss terms, dude. Those are the f***ing terms! Woo!
However, their haul isn't very big, so he returns home without any new substances, which frustrates Emily. She grows even more annoyed because he forgets to pick her up and give her the medication at the scheduled time, but Cherry manages to calm her down and gives her the stuff they love. However, Emily suddenly has to be rushed to the hospital after overdosing. Cherry is overwhelmed with fear, worried, and crying at the thought of losing her. He confesses to the nurse that they have been using illegal substances, and fortunately, Emily is rescued from a life-threatening situation. Emily's mother approaches Cherry, pleading with him to leave her daughter for her own good. To show his love for Emily, Cherry agrees to her parents' request and chooses to distance himself. However, Emily runs away from rehab and tracks Cherry down at the bus station. Despite Cherry's efforts to take her back, Emily refuses to return to rehab. She explains that she has waited for him for 2 years while he was away at war and that she would rather be with him no matter the consequences. Once they get home, they continue their destructive cycle of addiction. When they need money again, Cherry decides to rob another bank, this time with Pills and James by his side. As soon as they enter, Cherry fires his gun and instructs the tellers to give the money to James, but James suddenly panics and runs back to the car. Pills then steps in as Cherry's partner, but his careless actions give Cherry the chance to take control of the situation. Angry about this, Pills ultimately abandons Cherry, leaving him trapped inside the bank when the door locks.
You never lock a gunman in with innocent people. You're supposed to lock me in between the f***ing doors. Open the door right now. Look, you put all these people's lives in danger. If you don't open that f***ing door, your boss is gonna fire you.
Luckily, he manages to escape and get back to the car before the police can catch him. Cherry fears that Pills might betray them and turn them in, so he tells James to drive back and look for their partner. When they find Pills, they discover he has been shot in the stomach and is in critical condition. As a former medic, Cherry knows they should get him to a hospital immediately, but James argues that they would surely get arrested if they do. Realizing James is right, Cherry has no choice but to let Pills succumb to his injuries. They then leave his body in a quiet spot, but not before taking whatever they can from him. The next day, when Cherry returns home with Emily, he finds Black waiting for him outside in a car, demanding that he settle his debt. At first, Cherry accepts that Black might kill him this time, but Black warns that if he does, all of his money will be lost as well. After Black threatens Emily's life, Cherry is left with no choice but to pull off one final robbery to pay him off and end the ordeal. Before leaving, Cherry says goodbye to Emily, fully aware of the danger he is about to face. The scene returns to the very beginning of the film, where Cherry gives instructions to Black, his getaway driver. Once inside the bank, and after the teller hands him the money he needs, Cherry lowers his gun and removes the mask from his face. He calmly tells the female teller to trigger the alarm for him. Cherry walks out of the bank without a care, seemingly indifferent to the consequences of his actions. He hands all the money to Black before leaving and strolls down the middle of the street, holding his gun. He intentionally draws the attention of the police by firing 2 shots into the air. Sitting by the side of the road, he savors his last moments under the influence of his drug-induced reality as the police sirens grow closer. When the sirens near, his arrest marks the end of his chaotic path. The next chapter of Cherry's life involves his effort to change with the help of rehabilitation. While confronting his addiction and facing the trauma of his past, he serves 14 years in prison and is released in 2021. Upon re-entering the world of freedom, he is welcomed by Emily, who has been waiting for his release with steadfast love and support, bringing the film to its conclusion.
Thank you so much for staying till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for future uploads.